Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Hi, I'm Zane Morgan. Welcome to Zane Morgan Crafts. So here we go again. I need a break. And it's not what you think. I'm not quitting, but I am gonna stop making buildings just probably for this video. We're going into more terrain pieces, like actual terrain. Like when I say terrain, I mean like mountains, that kind of stuff. But specifically today, I am making a cave system. Well, maybe not a cave system, but a cave entrance. Now, the current campaign that I'm working on is tropical based, so think Jungles of Chult, whatever. So jungle theme, tropical theme, that's what we're gonna go with. I think that's more fun anyways than your traditional gray rocks, because when I think of a jungle, I think of like browns and rich greens, that kind of thing. So that's gonna be my color scheme. This is what I create, and what's really cool about this piece is it breaks away. So you can just use the entrance, you can hide this behind it, use that, or you can just use these as setting pieces, but together they form a mountain range and they are just magnetized together. I think this came out really cool and I can't wait to show you how I do it. So hit that sub button if you haven't, hit that like button, and just around the bend here, I will show you how I made it. So I'm just gonna start by saying I didn't use any 3D printing in this project. Shocker, I know. So this here is a 1-inch thick piece of XPS foam that I'm marking out to size so that I can cut it on the Proxxon. I made it roughly 7 by 7 inches, and this would become the base for the cave entrance. I then marked out the general shape of the rocks I wanted and figured in some natural stairs. I cut this freehand on the Proxxon, and it really wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. It actually went pretty easily, just probably more because it has a doesn't have to be perfect kind of shape. To get a perfect fit, I then took that middle stair piece that I cut out and cut it into thin sheets about 3/4 of an inch thick. I then cut out a little bit from each layer to give that stair effect. Think of it like a puzzle. It just fit perfectly this way. For the part that isn't the entrance, the left side of it, I just marked out the general shape of the rock, and then I proceeded to glue a second piece on top to act as the mountain wall or cliff side, whatever you want to call it. Next, I glued in the steps, and I glued the cave entrance piece behind the stairs to just give it some dimensionality. Next, it's time to use up those useful bits of scrap foam that I have laying around. When cutting the rock faces out, just keep in mind that the more foam scraps you have on the piece, the more real estate you have to work with for more interesting cuts. After disposing of the tiny bits that I cut off, it's now time to fill in the gaps and smooth out the pieces with some dollar store spackle. This is basically, if not exactly, the same process as creating the mound for the witch's hut. So the next step was just letting it dry, and then a good old healthy layer of Mod Podge to even things out. I added some black 3.0 paint to my Mod Podge, and that gave it a nice flat finish when dry. And now it's time to get some color on this thing. So I dry brushed this entire piece. The only layer that was painted on was the black Mod Podge. So for the brown, I used burnt umber. I just kind of coated it, not really caring what got hit. And next I used some golden brown. And on top of that, I used a sparing layer of alfalfa green. And this just brought out that jungly green overgrown kind of vibe. So I spent a night trying to figure out how I was gonna make these ferns. I contemplated modeling them in Blender. I almost made some using some floral tape and wire, but as I was strolling down the aisles of the craft store trying to find something to use, I came upon plastic ferns. I think I paid maybe like $5 for these after the coupon. This will make tons of ferns, so solid investment here, folks. So here's how I made my little mini ferns. So the idea is you just break the fronds off of it and you cut them down the size that you need. The larger pieces would go towards the bottom and you just build it up, going smaller and smaller as you reach the top. To combine everything together, I just did little dollops of hot glue, and I used a silicone mat so that the hot glue wouldn't stick to the surface that I was pressing into. And then when I was done making different ferns, I just dry brushed 3 different shades of green to really bring it to life and make it pop. And I really like how these turned out. Yeah, so next I needed some thick vines slash trees, banyan trees, whatever you want to call them. And I did this using some hot glue and twine. This method I learned from Michael from Nat One Videos, and I will link the video here. It's really simple and it just makes some great jungle looking vines. And I also used my own vine recipe for some of the smaller ones, but the thicker vines, 10 out of 10 would definitely recommend the hot glue method. It's just faster and it looks really good. Next, it was time to do the foliage. And for this, I used all Woodland Scenic products. I just worked my way from dark to light to add some depth. And I really love their foliage mesh that it just really sells the whole jungle bright foliage vibe that I was going for. The biggest thing that took time on this project was just dry times. But realistically, this project just took about an hour and a half to make, and that's if you ignore the drying times. So what I didn't show in the video was how I put magnets in this piece, and really that's just for the simple fact that I think it's pretty easy and common knowledge how to put a magnet in a build. It's really not that difficult. I will link a useful video that shows how exactly to do it right there. All in all, I'm just super thrilled at how this piece turned out, and genuinely, I hope you like it too. Using the same method I used to make this, I made an interior wall piece, and I think it took me maybe like 20 minutes to make. And that's using, like I said, the same concept. So you take your foam, you layer on some scrap pieces, and for the interior, I just kind of painted it a darker shade, so I didn't put as bright of a brown paint on here, and that really just sells that dark cave kind of atmosphere. The only thing I would do a little bit differently on this is maybe add like a gloss overcoat on it to add that wet cave kind of look to it. Really, the main thing I love about this is that it was super simple to make and it's affordable. This uses pretty much just XPS foam and craft paint with some hot glue. If you don't have a hot knife, really all you have to use is a blade carefully. You don't want to cut yourself. But you could really just score this and cut out rocks and you got a simple cave piece. That's it for now. Stay tuned. I'm going to have a little montage video at the end showing off the final piece. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for stopping by. If you like the build, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, that's cool too. Let me know in the comments what you think. I look forward to seeing you again. All right, bye guys.